Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I'm going to discuss how to get Jubilee at 6 stars or tier 2, and then I'm going to discuss the build and gameplay for her as the newest female Blast X-Men to hit the scene. So the main way to obtain Jubilee as fast as possible is to go into the store, again like Iceman, go over to the mission shop and pick up the X Gene sub, which with each new X-Men update, we get one new X Gene sub character, which may seem like a lot of investment in terms of money, but it does make this more and more valuable each time you purchase it, because now there are more and more good characters that if you haven't already built them up, you can. So it becomes more and more valuable for people who haven't purchased it yet each time a new character gets added. In this case, the newest one is Jubilee, and I've already gone ahead and purchased her once, so I have her unlocked at 1 star, but essentially after you purchase it, you would see this screen, you would hit select, and then the character that you just recently selected, in this case I already selected Jubilee, I would just select her again. But I'm not going to be doing that in this case because I'm going to be going a different route. You can go ahead and keep collecting biometrics because it goes on for 30 days, so you get a total of 600 bios. So if you only invested, I believe, a 1 star or 2 star rank up ticket, that would give you enough biometrics to get that character to 6 stars. So just one rank up ticket of the 2 star variety plus the full month of collecting biometrics, and that would be enough to get the character to 6 stars. However, that's a bit too long for me to wait. I don't really want to wait a whole month, so I'm going to go ahead and use a 6 star mega rank up ticket, which you can get from the X-Men Epic Quest collection rewards. There's also a couple of other ways to get a mega rank up ticket. There's also one, I believe, as part of the Shadowland first clear rewards, or there might not be. But anyways, it's not too difficult to get one. Like Iceman, you can also purchase a mega rank up ticket for 2,600 crystals, and then you could use it on Jubilee. From this point on, I now have 2 options. My first option is to continue collecting the X Gene sub. Again, 600 biometrics over the next month is more than enough to get her gears to 20, because I'm probably going to need anywhere from 300 to 400 biometrics. The average is around 350 for her gears after they're at 15 to get them to 20. But again, that's a long time to wait, and then I'll still have to invest a tier 2 ticket on her, which I'm kind of short on. So I think the best route for me personally, since I'm trying to save my Phoenix feathers and stuff and save my tier 2 tickets for other characters, is to actually go ahead and use another mega tier 2 ticket, which is only going to leave Bishop remaining, but it's going to be interesting to see how powerful she is, and then we can do a direct comparison between both Jubilee and Iceman. So let's go and see just how much stronger Jubilee can be compared to Iceman, considering that they're both a little bit more difficult to get compared to one another. Yo, so fast forward through all the building, and I now have a almost top 100 ranked Jubilee. I gave her 4 amplified Uru with energy attack and some ignore defense. Her gears don't have any skill cooldown or ignore defense on any of the orange stats, so she's actually much more difficult to max out the stats of compared to either Bishop or Iceman. So that is something to take into consideration. You may settle for Hawk's Eye because she needs the cooldown and she also needs the ignore defense. So you're basically just forced to give her either ignore defense or skill cooldown Uru. I also had to roll her 4th gear to be skill cooldown, and she's still only at 49 for both. So Jubilee, more than the other ones because of the way her gears are set up, actually pretty desperately needs a uniform already in terms of just getting those stats maxed out comfortably and not having to waste, multiple 5-star Uru slots. But it is what it is. As far as her skills, you do want to level up her 5th skill for the guard hit and the self buff. The 2nd skill buff, chance to miss, is nice for Shadowland, but otherwise you can keep them at level 3 because they don't give you too many other buffs. This is just 100% chance to be immune at level 1. And then her ISO 8 set, I also went with Power of Angry Hulk. Actually, all 3 of the new characters, all 3 blast, energy, attack characters, all benefit from Power of Angry Hulk because they don't have attack speed buffs. So there we go, that's basically what she gave. And then I don't have an obelisk yet. So if you've watched the video from yesterday for Iceman, you saw I was on a stage 64 of Shadowland playing around with without an obelisk. So I wanted to take Jubilee into Shadowland as well, and I wanted to test her out. This is a slightly different stage. This is going to be a stage 70, but in this case you'll be able to see that while her damage is low, and her damage was lower in the testing that I did, was lower than Iceman's at the same level. So she seems to do less damage than Iceman, at least at level 60. And that does make sense because she has a much lower energy attack than Iceman. She locks them down very, very well. So very similar to Iceman. Wow, I actually canceled her 5th skill somehow. Very similar to Iceman in the sense that you get a ton of crowd control abilities, and because you can move around her 4th skill, you can position it very well. And so if you have the damage, it basically just turns into a situation where the time is your only real, the only real enemy here. Because the enemies really can't do much. And the really nice thing for Shadowland specifically, and possibly for PvP if you come against opponents that don't have debuff, is that you can stack the after image 4th gear or 4-star passive. And that's kind of the frustrating part about Jubilee, because you can't stack the after image passive against World Boss, as you'll see, but it is nice to see that you can stack it against these stages, and that they kind of just, they're sparkling if you look at their character icons, Ghost Rider and Angela, and I'm going to stop attacking them here so you can see what I'm talking about. They're just sparkling, and it's just really cute. I wouldn't actually be able to clear the stage. It took me a minute to get them down to half health, so it would take me theoretically 2 minutes to kill them, which means I'd only have 1 minute left to kill the last 2 enemies. So she would need a leadership, or she would need an obelisk. She doesn't even have an obelisk, but she's already able to do Shadowland floor 70. Now, I know some of you guys are not really impressed by the fact that I'm saying these characters are good for Shadowland, but keep in mind the Shadowland first clear rewards are a real thing now, and so having that in the back of your mind, knowing that some of these characters are basically easy mode for Shadowland, might make you reconsider their value just a little bit. Now we're going to jump into a stage 10 of Thanos, just to try her out, because we could do Cull Obsidian, but that's pretty much the only boss she can do. She's going to have a damage reduction against Corvus. She doesn't deal elemental damage for Ebony, and of course Proxima. And we're going to go ahead and give her this team up, so she's got 50% energy attack, and she's got the extra buff there from what's his name? Ghost Panther. The kind of unfortunate thing about the X-Men that are introduced in this update is that none of them have the leadership tag, and I noticed that I don't think any X-Men actually have the leadership tag besides Cable. He's not really an X-Men, but yeah, he's got the leadership tag. Another thing you're going to notice from this clear specifically, and this is why I chose Thanos, is that if I don't play very carefully, he is going to guard break me. And I think even if I do play carefully, eventually he is going to guard break me. So it's actually quite difficult to it can be difficult to play Jubilee if you don't give her guard break immunity. So that is definitely something to think about, because she doesn't have super armor, she doesn't have invincibility, she only has immunity, and so because of that, she's more at risk, especially when she's shooting that beam right there. I just got guard broken, but otherwise, you know, you have the 4th skill, you have the 5th skill, you have the immunity. It's very easy to keep her alive, unlike Iceman, who does suffer from a little bit of you know, gap in between his skills. There, she got guard broken again. I mean, listen, Thanos is known for guard breaking. He's notoriously frustrating to play because of how much he guard breaks, but I wanted to illustrate that while he does guard break a lot, not only is Jubilee's damage good against him without an obelisk at tier 2 with no strikers, she also is able to you know, come out of the fight completely unharmed. Like, he basically can't deal any damage to her unless I get tripped up and I make like a huge mistake personally, because I've got the 5 seconds of immunity on 3, which I can also use to avoid those purple orbs. I've got the iframe on 5, and I've got the long iframe on 4. And the really nice thing about the iframe on 4, I mean, this is frustrating, no doubt. Without the guard break immunity, this is frustrating. But the iframe on 4 actually helps me out, because I can reposition. I jump back with 5, and I can actually reposition with 4 because it's a V-pad skill. So when you combine those two effects, you actually come up with a character that's actually quite fun to play, because of the fact that you can escape, you can do other skills, and then you can kind of move around behind them and reposition to do different things. So she's actually quite fun to play. I will say that. She is quite fun to play. It's kind of annoying that the after image doesn't apply to world bosses, and I do think that this is something that Netmarble should really look at and consider, because even if it did less damage, even if it was reduced, let's say this this percentage was only half as effective against world bosses, it's really important to keep the essence of a character, and it makes sense that the 4-star passive of Jubilee, After Image, should apply in all game modes, because you want to see that sparkling effect. You want to know that the afterburn and the after image of the plasmoid attacks is there, and that it's affecting the enemy. But when you see it in all other game modes, except against World Boss, it kind of breaks that sense of kind of magic and wonder for the character, and it breaks your sense of reality for the character, and you're kind of pulled out of the sort of idea. And so it would be really nice if Netmarble looked at these sorts of effects. You know, this goes in line with things like bleed. This goes in lines with things like chill damage, burning damage, where you have that little kind of burning fire effect on your character, poison, where you have the green bubbles. All of those effects, they should apply to World Boss, even if they're reduced to like 25% of their original damage. Even if the damage is so low that it's inconsequential, it's like 50 damage per tick. It doesn't matter, because it's more about seeing that visual representation, seeing the debuff up on the debuff bar, and having something that you know you're working towards, whether it's, you know, one effect or another. But you do get the after image on pretty much all other content, so that is nice, and it's a pretty decent chunk of damage once you rack up her energy attack a little bit higher. It is pretty low because of that. I think it's just under 22,000, and if you compare that over to Iceman, he's rocking, you know, over 25,000. I don't think he's getting a buff from Beast, but just to be careful, yeah, he's just under 25,000, so that's a big difference from Jubilee. But because she needs guard break immunity, and because I don't really have a guard break immunity proc unless it has poison damage on it, I'm actually going to go ahead and give her a CTP of Destruction. Now, this might be a little bit too expensive for some of you guys, but I do want to see how good she is going to be with it, and it will help me play with her and not have to worry about getting guard broken, not have to worry about getting interrupted, especially when she's doing that channeling third skill, which does have good damage. And then with that, I can now, you know, comfortably claim that I have a top 50. Let me just level up this laser spark skill really quickly for you guys, and then go back in and say that I have, wow, rank 51. That went up by 1 rank. Are you serious? Okay, I level up fastball to level 6, and now we have a top 50. Don't you dare. It's not going to change. Top 50 Jubilee. Hell yeah. So let's go back into some content now, and let's just compare that Shadowland clear where it took me a minute to get them down to half health. We're going to go right back in with the same team, just Jubilee, and I think we're going to try to do 5 cancel 3 for the proc. It's going to be difficult, and chain hit damage from a CTP of energy would be very nice, and if you were only going to use her for Shadowland, I think you could definitely get away with that. But because I also want to use her in World Boss, I think it's pretty much a must that I give her the guard break immunity, which is kind of, you know, it's a little bit of a bummer. You definitely can appreciate a chain hit damage CTP like a CTP of energy when you have channeling skills like 5 or like 3 rather. But she seems to have pretty good damage on 4 as well. Let's see what happens if we just proc on 4. That didn't proc. Let's see if we proc on 5. Okay, that didn't really proc too well. I got hit by fire damage, despite the fact that I've been telling you guys that she's so difficult to kill. So we're going to have to play a little bit more carefully. But you guys can see that the damage is already a lot better. And I think I goofed up because I was standing there waiting for the skill to proc, and it kind of put me in danger. But I think in a minute, if I had kept my procs up nicely on the 3rd skill, she would have gotten Ghost Rider killed in the first minute, which basically means I doubled her damage almost, just by giving her a damage proc with the extra crit damage. Now, of course, I still have some more Uru to give her, so I can definitely go higher on the damage further. Like we can still go further on the damage. We have to get out of this fire pit before we die to the residual dot damage. But yeah, we're getting this done. I think. Oh, I was about to say I think we can do it. I think we can clear it. So, you know, I think technically she can clear a stage 70 relay with no leadership at tier 2 with, you know, it's a top 50 build. Yeah, it won't be top 50 for long apparently, but it still has room to grow. You still have room to grow here on the ISO 8 set, and yeah, it's a CTP of destruction, but it's not a CTP of energy, it's not a CTP of rage. Let's go back now to Thanos, and we're going to bump this up to 20 now that I have a damage proc. We're going to go here, and we're just going to give her one let's give her, yeah, let's go with 1 striker still. 20 is going to be a lot harder, but I want to see how much better her damage is, and I want to see, more importantly, how much better and how much smoother she plays without the fear of getting guard broken and getting interrupted. And that will actually also technically help out her damage because you won't have to get interrupted mid-attack. We might have gotten pulled there, we might have gotten kind of snared anyways, but otherwise we're going to be able to proc here nicely, and it kind of just chips away at him. No guard break there, nicely done. And yeah, I mean, otherwise we would have been interrupted there, and that would have affected our clear time. Now, I think it's supposed to be about a minute to get down to 15 bars if you're going for something a little bit more competitive. So I'm not quite sure we're going to get there. We're not really doing the greatest damage to him, but it is a stage 20, which is impressive for not having any strikers. Love not getting guard broken there. It feels so good. And I don't know where I should incorporate 2 and 1, I should say. Oh, we're going to take damage there. We didn't take damage, which is nice, but we just procced, actually. Okay, we're a little bit ahead of the proc, so let's try to do a couple more of her skills here. We might get pulled in here. We did not. Awesome. Go, Jubilee. Iframing again. Okay, this is not bad. We're a little bit behind, but it's not bad at all. Oh, you know what? I wanted to see her 4th skill proc. Oh, we can't heal. Right. I want to see her 4th skill proc. It seems like it might be better than I thought. We're a little bit behind. We're about, 20 to 30 seconds behind, but that's okay. I think if I gave her crit Uru, I think we could definitely get it a little bit closer. I don't think we could clear the stage necessarily in time, but we can definitely get a lot closer. Let's just see what a proc on 4 looks like. We're gonna go 5, and then we're gonna hit it up with 4, and he iframed. Perfect. Nothing like a well-timed iframe to just completely ruin your proc. And this proc looks so sad. All right, let's just proc on 3 here, just to keep the damage going. Okay. Let's go in here, try to proc on 4. Didn't really seem that impressive. I'm curious, for those of you that have, oh, I died to the poison damage. Damn. For those of you that have a CTP of energy on Jubilee, how much better do you think it improves her damage? And how much better do you think it makes her? And would you be willing to give up the guard break immunity for that? As far as obelisks go, I would definitely say I would recommend something like crit damage, guard break immunity, and a damage proc, or guard break, crit rate, damage proc. I don't really think she'd be good for PvP because she doesn't have any of those, good PvP stats. She doesn't have penetration. She doesn't have healing. She doesn't have fracture. She doesn't have iframe ignore. She's pretty much missing all of those things that make characters strong for PvP. So let me know what you think of Jubilee. Let me know who you want to see next. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow or later today. Take care.